So Nina Turner, one of Bernie Sanders, I think, national campaign co-chairs, I believe, went on MSNBC and had this kind of spirited back and forth exchange with a MSNBC pundit who got upset that Nina Turner had correctly characterized Michael Bloomberg as a oligarch. How could you not view him as that? He literally paid off the DNC $300,000 to these three different committees that they run, and then it was like $800,000 to this Democratic grassroots campaign thing, which is funny, the grassroots campaign, and it's Michael Bloomberg donating, massive amount of money to it. So and he bought his way into the election. He spent hundreds of millions of dollars on ad buys, and he's just horrible on the issues and has a horrible record. He was a vociferous supporter of George W. Bush, and even in 2004 campaigned to help get him reelected. So this is from Common Dreams. Nina Turner, a national co-chair, I was right, of the Bernie Sanders campaign, left an MSNBC panel in shock Monday evening after he referred to billionaire Michael Bloomberg as an oligarch who bought his way into the presidential race. And she's totally and 100% completely correct. You have to be, either wanting to work for Michael Bloomberg at some point, or you're just ignorant of the facts of what constitutes an oligarch. He has massive amounts of wealth. He used that wealth to buy his way into the presidential election on the Democratic side, and he bought off the DNC. And then they changed. And what do you know? They changed the debate requirements, changing the individual contribution requirement. So now he's going to be able to get on the debate stage, should he so choose. Quote, "We should be ashamed of that as Americans, as people that believe in democracy, that the oligarchs, if you have more money, you can buy your way," said Turner. Turner referred specifically to the DNC opening the door for a billionaire financier and media mogul to participate in upcoming debates. The allowance for the former mayor of New York was not one afforded to Senators Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, or to former Housing and Urban Development Secretary Julian Castro, or to Senator Mike Gravel. There's actually a telephone call with it's either Gravel or the two college students, I believe, that were running his campaign with the DNC a couple of months back. The DNC was like, no, we got to keep the rules the same. We're keeping it fair for everybody. We're not changing them now for you, for the Gravel campaign. And what do you know? It was like 2 days before Bloomberg entered the presidential race, he dropped that $300,000 donation to the DNC. And what? Oh, fuck it. We can change it. You gave us a lot of money. We'll change it. It's totally corrupt. He's an oligarch. Nina Turner is completely on point. If you see it otherwise, I have a bridge I'd like to show you. He's an oligarch, said Turner. He skipped Iowa. Iowans should be insulted, buying his way into the race, period. The DNC changed the rules. They didn't change it for Senator Harris. They wouldn't change it for Senator Booker. They didn't change it for Secretary Castro or, Tulsi Gabbard or Andrew Yang or any number of the other candidates who doesn't have this oligarch money like Mike Bloomberg does. Then I'll show the clip of the exchange in a little bit. Not sure why this is even a discussion, but by any reasonable historical or comparative standard, Michael Bloomberg is literally the definition of oligarch, tweeted historian Patrick Wyman. Intercept editor Glenn Greenwald, quoting Wyman, explained why the term was under discussion. American exceptionalism and centrist fears of rising Sanders. It's under discussion for two reasons. Americans have long been trained to believe only the bad countries, not the U.S., has oligarchs, and thus it's been taboo to say it in the U.S. media. Two, Bernie haters may have to rely on Bloomberg, so don't want that label applied to him. It's true. It kind of seems like liberal establishment, the neoliberal, centrists of the Democratic Party and the, mainstream media is kind of seeing the writing on the wall with regards to Joe Biden. So they're kind of maybe thinking of jumping ship and trying to, attach their futures to Michael Bloomberg potentially. Turner's response provoked outrage and upset from MSNBC contributor and the Root editor Jason Johnson, who took issue with Turner's assertion that Bloomberg, who has spent $250 million of his own money on his campaign and whose exception to the debate rules came just after months of donating $325,000 to the DNC, was an all. I mean, you got to be just a complete party hack to take any offense that Nina Turner characterized Michael Bloomberg as an oligarch. It's like, Jesus Christ, the $250 million on campaign ad buys because he's able to self-finance, and the individual contributions, they changed that after he bought off the DNC. Quote, calling Mike Bloomberg an oligarch has implications in this country are unfair and unreasonable, said John. What implications? It's accurate. If you don't like it, then we should make, all campaigns should have to, be publicly financed. It's just the reality. He's an oligarch. He bought his way into the presidential race, and to say otherwise, you're either being disingenuous or you're just ignorant of the facts. Johnson claimed that the world would vote, quote, a rich person who got their money off of oil in Russia, who is taking advantage of a broken and dysfunctional system. So he didn't get his money off of oil in Russia, that being Bloomberg, but he has definitely taken advantage of a broken and dysfunctional system where you're able to, spend $250 million in ad buys to artificially, propel you in the polls because you don't actually have any real support or any grassroots movement behind you. That's why their DNC is having to change the individual donor contributions, because the everyday person is not going to want to donate to the Mike Bloomberg campaign because he is a literal oligarch, and people see through that. And I think he would get destroyed by Trump if he was the Democratic nominee, which is a very just horrible and disturbing thing to think about. As Common Dreams reported in October, the 400 richest Americans have a lower tax rate than the rest of the country. And it's like the Walmart heirs themselves have more wealth than the bottom 30% of the United States. So it's just extreme wealth inequality. And yes, the stock market is doing good, but that again only tends to benefit the very wealthy and the large corporations. And so that the wages haven't gone up, inequality has continued to increase. So the average everyday American aren't seeing the benefits of record stock prices and whatnot. Okay, so let's take a look at the video.
Welcome the hatred of the elites because I am standing up for you. So cry me a river for the wealthy people in this country.
I mean, you work for a candidate who's part of the 1%. I have no problem with criticizing the system.
So that's so funny. Like, he's trying to say like Bernie is some little monopoly figure oligarch person, but he got basically all of his wealth by writing a book. He's not out there exploiting people like Jeff Bezos through Amazon, or exploiting the environment, or exploiting workers. He got it through writing a best-selling book. That's how he got his money.
The system that allows
and the money that Bernie Sanders has, obviously, is tiny fraction compared to what somebody like Michael Bloomberg has. And also, it needs to be pointed out, Bernie Sanders is fighting for policies that would probably potentially increase his taxes if he has this amount of wealth. So, but he's advocating for things that benefit the working people. Michael Bloomberg isn't doing that. He would perpetuate an agenda and policy platform that would disproportionately benefit people like him and other members of the oligarchic class.
That allows him to buy what he wants to buy. The system allows him to buy himself into the administration and buy himself into the debates is a problem. But to call him an oligarch, I think, is a misnomer in this environment. And again,
it's not a misnomer. He literally spent hundreds of millions of dollars on ad buys because he has no real support, and he had to self-fund his campaign. Average everyday people in the U.S. don't want to donate to a billionaire, so he has to self-finance because he's scared of Bernie, and he's trying to protect his class interests.
You're working for somebody who's part of the 1%. Do you call him an oligarch? No, you don't.
Because there is a difference between being in the 1%. Again, Bernie got his money from writing a best-selling book. He's not getting it by, exploiting workers or exploiting the environment or outsourcing jobs overseas or exploiting people at Amazon like Jeff Bezos does. He's a politician, and he's fighting, to make the United States better for everyday average working class people. Michael Bloomberg doesn't. He represents the billionaire oligarch class. It's not that hard to understand.
Rich guy, because just because somebody has a tremendous amount of money doesn't mean that they're not necessarily representing the people. And if you want to use the term elite, you can use whatever kind of term that you want to use. But at the end of the day,
yes, use the term oligarch. It was completely appropriate to use in this setting.
The enemy of this country, the enemy of the poor, is not just everybody who happens to be rich. It is a capitalistic system that abuses people. And if you want to speak about that, that's fine. But if you want to name call people, that's not going to help Bernie if he becomes a nominee.
I think it would help Bernie, because correctly calling out Michael Bloomberg and the, corrupt system that he is a symptom of is super important to point out that he literally bought his way onto the debate stage by paying off the DNC 2 days before he entered the race, dropping the hundreds of $1 million on the, on these huge ad buys, because he's able to self-finance. He wouldn't be able to do that if he didn't have this massive, obscene amount of wealth. Bernie Sanders guess what? He hasn't used any of his money for his campaign. It's all been individual, small donor contributions, a record number. It's a huge difference here, and he's trying to conflate Bernie Sanders' campaign, trying to conflate him as being some type of oligarch or elitist is just so insane and just horribly disingenuous.
He's going to need Mike Bloomberg's money. If he's going to need Mike Bloomberg's money down the road.
It's ironic that you're defending somebody
I'm not defending rich people.
I mean, you're a stand for Michael Bloomberg, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yes, you are. You are defending him
because that's how you guys operate. But when it comes to actual campaign politics, it makes sense to actually describe people for the positions that they've taken.
Yes, that is. Oh my God! Michael Bloomberg is the literal definition of a freaking oligarch. He has massive amounts of wealth and power, and he used that to finance his way into the election. Something with people without that billions of dollars of wealth or money aren't able to do. He was able to do that. That's the definition of an oligarch. It's a broken system. And I don't know why, again, like Nina points out, why are you defending that?
It's about a word. Is this about a word, Jason? Is this about a word?
No, it's not just about a
Seems
word.
like it is to him.
Implications of it. And it's
that I will.
Oh my God. That's like, this is why I don't watch, I don't have MSNBC or like cable or whatnot, but this is why I don't watch the quote unquote mainstream news unless I'm doing this type of commentary or analysis, just because they usually would just have on just these complete, neoliberal centrist hacks that get upset when, Nina Turner correctly points out that Michael Bloomberg is an oligarch, and due to his massive amount of wealth, he was able to buy his way onto the debate stage, and having hundreds of millions of dollars allowed him to, spend all of that and increase his support in the polls. And it's like mainstream media is so horrible, but at least Nina Turner was there to, fight back against this horribly, disingenuous, argument that this Jason Johnson person was trying to make. And it's like, if I was him, I would just have a bad taste in my mouth after trying to defend Michael Bloomberg, saying he's not an oligarch. It's like, just cringeworthy. Oh my goodness. Those are my thoughts. Share yours in the comment sections down below. Peace. Much love.